Lake Elsinore. Welcome to our second episode of Connect LE. As promised, we're bringing you these segments, podcast, if you will, every month. We're going to be presenting to you information that you want to know about and that you absolutely need to know about. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you our Honorable Mayor Steve Manos. I'm Jovanny Huerta, and we have Jason Simpson and also a good friend, Dr. Ryan Lewis. He represents our local district here, Lake Elsinore Unified School District. Thank you for joining us all. This is great. Number 2, huh?
Yeah, I think it's great. And we're going to keep doing these as the year goes on and hopefully provide some additional amazing information that the residents desperately need. So, but we're going to have a little fun while we're doing it.
Absolutely. And we talked about this last time, right? It's information that is firsthand. You don't have to hear it from anybody else. It's right here on this podcast. And again, we extend the invitation to everybody. If you have any questions or you want to know about a certain subject, email us at mediateam@lake-elsinore.org. Give us your thoughts on topics you want to know about, and we will address them here on Open Mic.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to have Dr. Lewis here.
Dr. Lewis.
We don't get to interact nearly as much as I'd like to. Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
Jason. So,
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm excited to have Jason here too. Don't get me wrong. They didn't mean to leave you out.
No, the cool thing about this whole thing is that, again, you started this initiative with trying to get, information flowing. You're very active on social media. You respond to the keyboard warriors, if you will, people that have comments. But we've also seen, and it's okay, but people, when they do comment, sometimes they comment out of anger, or maybe I want to just do that, I want to just comment now. But sometimes they're not educated enough to know what's really going on. And you come and say, hey, instead of being confrontational, you present the facts, which is the same thing we're going to do here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I get it. I'd much rather them kick me online than kick their dog, So,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's kind of the attitude I have. And, we live in an age where there's a lot of information online. Some of it's good information. Some of it's not great information. So to have somebody who can come online and respond to folks on the same forum that they're talking to you from, I think it's very powerful to just kind of go into that, in the middle of the line of fire and just say, all right, well, here's the answer, and here's the answer, and here's the facts to go ahead and back that up. Here's the documents to back that up. And then you establish trust, and you're able to go ahead and say things and go out on a limb, or sometimes you just say, I don't know. And people appreciate that too.
Absolutely. I think the way you approach things with honesty, integrity, and more than anything, just addressing the issue. And I think we can all agree with this, Ryan and Jason. I think when it comes down to it, if we don't address the issue, I believe, this is my personal thought, but sometimes the issue gets bigger. Sometimes it's easier to nip it in the butt. Wouldn't you say, Ryan?
Absolutely. I think there's lots of examples of that. This is how we end up with urban myths or urban legends. Is
Correct.
Rather than, if we have situations that we sometimes miss that sitting down and eyeball to eyeball conversations where, as we say, there's not many things we can't work through when we sit together. And I think we need more of that in our space, whether it's city, education, or just being neighbors. That personal contact goes a long ways.
Absolutely. Jason, you have to deal with a lot of the correspondence as well with, hey, this is going on here. Why? But, staff is very diligent to go ahead and inform them and more than anything, educate. I think that's the key word. Just because you see a sign on the street doesn't mean it means something negative, if you will. It can be something positive, but people are the first to go and report on it on social media, and then the snowball effect continues, right?
Yeah, it happens daily. I mean, we get calls for various things, but the culture here and the attitude and approach of the staff is, when things come up, to address them, go right through the middle of the issue and address it. And sometimes it's very simple fix. Some maybe they just want to vent, and we got to hear them out, and then maybe give them what the action plan is, and then wait a little bit, and then follow up with them to see if they had any other issues. So a lot of it's just how you handle them. it's key. And nothing's too small or too little. If you start thinking that way, then I think you lose sight of, you're almost invalidating people's feelings about stuff.
100%, and that takes us. That's a perfect segue into now the general update plan. A lot of people might not know what the general plan update is, if you will, but it really has an important significance to our community. Take us through that, Steve, and then we'll have Jason go ahead and weigh in.
So a general plan is essentially a document that outlines the allowed uses and furthermore the intended infrastructure that's necessary in order to support a community in the future. It's an extension of our police powers, and it's probably one of the biggest tools that a city has in order to regulate and kind of control how the city grows and what it becomes when it grows up. So it basically looks like a big map with a lot of different colors, essentially laid out. And so some areas are going to be designated for residential. Is that high density residential? Is it low density residential? Are these apartments or these ranch houses? Are we talking about a commercial center? Is it commercial office? Is it commercial mixed use where it has residential and a commercial use? Is it industrial, or is it maybe open space? All of these things are taken into consideration because each specific type of use generates a different type of activity. It may drive different types of traffic. It will likely go ahead and drive different types of necessities in terms of schools or water needs, sewer needs, electricity, and all of that. So it's a very important document. Without it, then you cannot plan or require, especially major developers, how they need to go ahead and make improvements and offsite improvements to make sure that their development doesn't impact the other people that exist within the community. So there's a lot there.
And that question comes up a lot. Some people don't understand how important a general plan is, right? But I guess you guys can all agree it's more like a highway to success.
Right. And what we're doing right now is we're blowing up the general plan, meaning that we are starting from the base and we are trying to go ahead and reimagine with the knowledge that we have today about the way that people are working from home more often, or the way that we're trying to bring industry in and things of that nature. We're being very different in the way that we're revising the general plan, because we were required to revise the general plan, but usually we just revise the general plan. Now we're really kind of stripping it away, and we've already had 2 or 3 sessions where the council has kind of said, this is what we're trying to get to, this is what we want to be at, and we're going to have something new here that's going to be exciting.
That is
exciting.
exciting.
We're going to like.
And Jason, what can the community find in this general plan?
I think Steve covered a lot of it, but we're going to take that general plan once it's adopted and update our zoning code, which are all the rules and legal things. When an applicant comes in to process an application, it's a tool that our staff's going to be able to use, and it should provide better certainty for that developer or contractor or whoever it is needing to use it to get through the process. We're finding a lot of development now requires a CUP, conditional use permit, or basically an exception and other rules tied to it in order for it to happen. And it's not that it could be more efficient having a robust general plan that's more modern and updated. And last time we updated was like 2011, and it's probably been longer than that. So the approach the council's taking now is to really pave the way for the future, and we take input from property owners and developers and what they would like to do on their land, and it takes the goals and dreams and wishes of everyone that go into that, and it's our document. We have to implement it. So
that's see, to me, knowing this stuff and being with the city the short time that I've been. As a journalist, you don't really think of these small details, but those small details are always the biggest ones, if you will, and that takes us into, the economic development portion of it, because this general plan paves a way for developers, for big box companies to have interest and to make their job easier to come and develop here, right?
Correct. Absolutely. And, what's very important and probably the most beautiful thing about a well-designed general plan is that it's an announcement to the world about what's coming, right? So like,
A preview, if you will.
yeah, right. So maybe we don't want big box, you know what I mean? I'm not saying we do or we don't, but maybe we're looking for something that's more small town.
Gotcha.
And that, I know of some places, you look at Big Bear and they're kind of like that, right? Like they're just kind of like mom and pop businesses that operate there, and that's their thing. We're probably trending more towards like a tourism based sort of economy, right? The lake is the gem. It's got huge potential. We're working on the health of the lake. And then we're also looking at, how do we move land uses so that it supports it best? Maybe we look at some areas that have been developed that need to be redeveloped. Okay. And so we can assign different zoning to those areas to go ahead and incentivize places where there may be existing housing stock, for instance, where it may be better to have commercial, or it may be better to go ahead and have industrial, or better to have some other type of use or mixed use in some way, shape, or form. You can look at Main Street and kind of see a lot of that would be applicable maybe over here as the center of the universe as far as we're concerned. So
right. And what's the future outlook, Jason, for the economic development portion of the city?
Well, it depends. Right now, the retail market is a little soft, so it may take a little longer for some of those things, but we're on the map. I think the council has done a really good job of putting the city of Lake Elsinore on the map. When we go to conferences, and companies and businesses know who we are, they monitor our market constantly, and we try to engage them and keep them updated, so that when something becomes available they may not know about, it may connect with them. We do have, we just had a Dutch Bros open. We've got 3 more that are coming into the city. There's a Habit Burger coming. There's another In-N-Out location coming.
And then the Walmart building is going to be home to a dealership, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
so the old Walmart on Grape Street just closed escrow with Inland Boat Center. So they're going to be selling boats, jet skis, water skis, pretty much anything action sport related, really, out of there. Plus, they've got some additional space that they're looking to put in a couple of other businesses, possibly a specialty grocery store, or so they're open to options. So we're working with them and our economic development team.
See, and this is the information that a lot of people might not know about, but this is amazing. I mean, as a resident of Lake Elsinore, that excites me to see that. I mean, Dutch Boys. We were at the opening of Dutch Boys. I didn't.
Dutch Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Dutch Brothers.
Bros.
Dutch
Bros.
Dutch, Dutch Bros.
Yeah.
And the only thing I knew about them was that they were a phenomenon on social media.
Right.
So when I saw them here, because of the social media frenzy, if you will, I'm like, I gotta go try it.
I love that they came out and certainly went ahead and I think took people by surprise by developing in an already developed establishment. Right. So that's going to go ahead and help, create new synergy in that particular area. You might see some additional development because there's a vacant lot back there, So here's an interesting thing, a funny thing about the economic development story. When I got elected, we went to this event called ICSC. It's the International Conference of Shopping Centers. And our job was about putting Lake Elsinore on the map. And people go, they don't even know what that means. And so we're going out, we're talking to franchise owners, franchises that are looking for owners, real estate brokers and developers that are trying to go ahead and marry the franchises and franchise owners with, their location and whatnot. And so we're talking to a lot of these guys, and we're like, hey, I'm the mayor from Lake Elsinore. And they go, what state is that in? You know, they don't even know where we're at in the world, you know, and of course it's international. So we could be anywhere in the world, literally. And so, oh, well, we're in California. Well, at the time, the market wasn't very good. But we start talking about, you know, some of the things that are good about Lake Elsinore and all the opportunities, you know, what the median household income is, and how dense it is near certain exits. And at the time we were working on the Railroad Canyon exit. There was opportunities with Walmart, all these things, right? And now we go, and these guys all know exactly who we are because we've been hitting them for over a decade.
That's
and
exciting.
some of them start with one franchise and they go to another franchise. And so, like, you know, so it's all about relationships. It's all about consistency. It's just like working out, right? Like, you know, you can't just go once and then, you know, you can't go to the gym once and expect to go ahead and look like, you know, muscle man or nothing. You got to go for years and really go ahead and be disciplined about the way that you're going and what you're targeting.
And the economic impact, Dr. Lewis, doesn't only benefit the community in whole, but it also benefits the district and the students because that opens jobs up for those students that will still continue here at home and their education alongside here, high school students and whatnot. Wouldn't you say that's fair?
100%. And I think it even goes to their families, and it goes to, we know what happens in that home is going to help our students be successful, whether they're 3 in a preschool program or 18 looking for the options after high school. So the tighter that unit is, that they are able to have a livable wage and they're able to stay in their community and not be commuting to different cities, I think it benefits everybody. I would also add, I think as we continue to develop as a school district, we hopefully can come alongside and be another attraction to the area, because we know with world-class education and people are looking forward to the best schools, if we can partner with that, I think we can try to be of support to the city and help people understand where we are and why they want to come here and how great it's for their kids too. So we look forward to that.
Yeah, and a lot of it, going on that point, Dr. Lewis, you know, there's several students that enjoy just, you know, they love the Starbucks job because it's a hip job to have, you know, and now that we have Dutch Bros, it's another hip job to have.
Dutch Bros is pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, on social media, you see a lot of the high school students, you know, posting, you know, their exotic drinks, if you will.
Wait. Is like Starbucks like the millennial coffee place and Dutch
Yes.
Bros is like the Gen Z,
100%.
Gen Alpha. Is that what's happening?
I think that's what's happening
Oh,
before.
man.
Yes, absolutely.
I hate
I
to.
went through the drive-thru and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
They were very helpful. So
Yeah.
thank you for the team that was there.
yeah, no, they have something called like the Tutti Frutti drink or something like that, and I'm like, that sounds interesting, but I don't know how that's gonna turn out in a couple hours, you know. But
Black coffee works well.
yeah, but no, I mean, you guys, I mean, speaking of economic and building and stuff like that, development, you guys have a new school coming up. It's being built as we speak. Or not a school,
A new school administration building.
administration
I thought you
building.
knew something I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, no.
All right, you never know.
Yeah.
We do. We are very excited. And it's interesting how the entities have very similar parts. We have a facilities master plan that shows the amount of need that runs us through a 10-year period. And those large entities, we all have to have that same type of structure. And I think on our end, one thing we've noticed before I get back to Elsinore is we need our community support as a district. And we are so grateful of what happened back in 16, 17-ish with Measure V and what came alongside. And part of what you're seeing at Elsinore Elementary is part of that community support. So if you haven't been there, we have a groundbreaking coming March 22nd, I believe. But it'll be on our website, and love to have everybody there. It's in essence, we're flipping the campus. So when you look at where the new admin building is, it's where I'm told it was. Decades ago, I'm not sure if we're back quite to the 1800s, like the earlier conversation, but it's been a while ago. That we're coming back, and it's going to change the landscape of the school. It's added an arrival spot for families that is a much safer place. It's brought in parts of technology. We have meeting spaces, and then what that's going to allow us to do once we bring the front of the school to what was the back, which was the front, I believe. Then we're going to go back to the other side of campus and revamp all of our multi-use area to bring a more updated feel to Elsinore Elementary, which is one of our most historic buildings. And I think when you talk about how does that play out to the community, that building is beautiful. And what it's going to do for the neighbors and community and property value and all the things we're trying to do, I think they go hand in hand. So later in the month, we'll have our ribbon cutting. Look forward to seeing you all there.
That's awesome. That is completely awesome. Now, sticking to the economic development and the future outlook for it, let me ask Jason and the mayor. So, opportunities for small businesses and opportunities for other businesses. What would you say to them?
Yeah, there's opportunities, I think, for anyone. They've got they can reach out to our economic development department. We have staff that can help guide them through a process or answer questions that they may have if they're not sure. We are looking at putting an incubator location actually in the downtown, so that if they're not sure where they want to go yet, but they want to get started, it'll help remove the infrastructure part or the big cost up front, while they can get on their feet and find something, and then help them step into something bigger so that they can grow their business.
Yeah, Steve, what do you tell that small business that wants to establish here and grow alongside the community and the city?
It's changed a little bit over the past decade. So about a decade ago, I used to walk around with permits in my back pocket and say, "Yes, here you go. Come on in." And people would laugh about that because it was just an exaggerated way to say that we're open for business and we're going to say yes. So come on in, let's go, let's get things going. It was dead. It was dead at the time. So we were looking for a lot of things. One of our previous, Kim Cousins, who was talking on the last podcast, said, we were desperate for a car wash. We needed a car wash. We were growing so fast, we didn't have enough car washes. And then we got a glut of car washes. Everybody complains about the car washes, right? Like, so it's changed a little bit. Now we're starting to get a little pickier because the reality is that with the overlapping agencies and the conservation areas and the things that we have to go ahead and work through, the availability of water and, the way that our infrastructure is laid out, which is old and probably isn't going to change. It's very difficult to change because you have to acquire existing businesses or houses or things of that nature to make those changes. So now we're being a little bit more careful about what we're inviting into the city.
Selective, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I think the residents are starting to demand that. And obviously you have to hear that and begin to represent what the people, the chorus of people are starting to go ahead and sing along with. And I just have to add that I was a big proponent of Measure V. And what residents don't understand is that some of the other communities in our area had passed multiple bond measures in order to go ahead and get their very good education programs where they are today, have very good facilities. We didn't have that same thing because we didn't have the same tax measures or whatnot. So I think that was a big win, and it certainly has benefited the school district to the benefit of the community.
Now, going, Dr. Lewis, I'm first of all happy you joined us today. You've been a great partner. This takes us to our next segment, and then just talk about partnerships with the district, our community, the DMA in general. Those that make that help us be successful and set us up for success. Dr. Lewis, I met you about a year ago, probably less than a year ago, through our city manager. And, when I got here, we didn't have the connection, if you will, with the district, but through both of you guys, we have a strong front now. Partnership has been successful. We collaborate more together, and you can see it and you can definitely feel it. And so just tell us a little bit about, before we get into the heavy part of that partnership, tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you come in to take over the district, and tell us a little bit about your history?
Sure. So we won't go too far back. But I think most importantly, like everybody, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. My wife and I are both in education. She's a school counselor in Corona, has been there her whole career. That was We both were transplants in the class size reduction days, and she's from Illinois and I'm from New York, and we stayed. And we have 3 boys. We have a freshman in college, a freshman in high school, and an 8th grader. And we're like everybody else. We have the same homework challenges. We have the same struggles with our teenagers, the same highs and lows. And I think that's what really guides us as what we do in our work. So my career, I was in Corona for 17 years. I was in Riverside for 7 or 8. I lose count as the years go on. But was so grateful to get the opportunity with the board at the time that asked me to come and join the team of Lake Elsinore. And we joked in our interview, but I think it goes to what we're talking about. They said, well, what do you know about Lake Elsinore? And I said, well, I've had pizza. I've done a little fishing. But other than that, it's been on the 15. And I think that was indicative of a lot of people at the time that you were talking 2 decades ago of what was there. And it's just not that now. Yeah. And I think the opportunity for me to join that team and come in, I have been embraced not only by our city team here, but we have 144 square miles. We have 3 cities we serve with unincorporated areas. We are in the top 50 in student enrollment in the state of California. Not everybody realizes that. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, the biggest thing when I came in and I was spending time, and Jason and I would talk, it was our district needs to realize that they're a player in the state. We're big, and we need to act like we're big. And I think that goes along with what the city is saying is we're a place people want to be. Yeah. And when you act like that, then all of a sudden people realize that, and we start to see that momentum build. And I think that's what you're talking about, Jovanny, is just that momentum of what we could do as a community. It's not a school district. It's not a city. It's not different businesses. Lake Elsinore loves their community. Right. And I think I'm just so grateful to get to be part of that.
You missed an opportunity because I got the same question, similar question. I started from where I was born. So like I gave the whole history from the get-go and forward. So just like, and one other thing I should add is, since we were talking about economic development, is that one of the measures that the franchise operators look at is education. Mm-hmm. They want to see, some places want to see a highly educated core group of people. So you may not know this, but you and your district are playing a huge part in our improvement as well. So thank you.
We're along for the ride in the partnership, and we will do everything we can to support and a little bit more.
No, and that's amazing. That brings us up to that point that, the partnership is not only said, but it's done. And we see it with you and your staff, and I see it with Jason and the council and everybody just collaborating to make that, that strong glue to connect the community. And with that, we've done a lot of things. I mean, in the short period of time that you've been here, like I said, I'm a resident here. My kids attend your district, and I have to admit that, my goodness, and I've told you this before, you can see the change that you've made as soon as you stepped in the door. And you're a very humble person, Ryan, but I have to tell you,
we'll debate that later. It takes everybody, and I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. But it's long before me, it'll be long after me. We all have a process in that. And I think the team that was here for the 10 years before I got here, and they've positioned the district to allow us to do the work we're doing now. That's not accidental. Where we are financially, where we are with our tax base, where we are with passing our first measure. For us to be on the map, we have to do those things, and we had to position ourselves in that space. I came in, and the timing was perfect for me as a new superintendent coming out of a crazy time in education, a community that was thriving, and we're just trying to come alongside. So it takes all of us.
And Steve, you're a big advocate of education. I mean, you've always been that person to help and to kind of move things along in education, especially here in your city.
I'm a product of the Lake Elsinore Unified School District.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. So
there's a certain matter of pride, showing up and supporting the kids and doing just a small part.
It's last show, I was gonna say this, but it kind of flew over my head. You actually can wear red and blue because you were in Elsinore High School.
I prefer you not disclose that. Yeah. I did go to Elsinore. I was a Tiger for a year. It was a misguided year. No, it wasn't. No, the Temescal Canyon literally hadn't been opened yet. So, I was part of the group of kids that went over to Temescal Canyon High School when that was open, which is a long time ago now. But good memories. And yeah, we worked out of portables for a while. but it was good times. It was the 90s, man. We were latchkey kids. We played football in the big open spaces that they called fields. They were more like dirt with sprinkles of grass at the time. It's come a long way.
Land on rocks when you fall.
Dude, our theater is not like the theater that they have today. Let me tell you that. That's for darn sure. It was just, it was bad. But you're a kid. You do with what you got, right. and the teachers there were great. And they also did the thing, did with what they got. You get that retrospective, as you get older. You just don't realize.
Now, how important, and I ask you this, how important is that new the camaraderie we have with the district now? How important?
It's incredibly important. It's part of the reason why we have regular meetings with the school district to go ahead and discuss upcoming issues and problems. I remember earlier during my tenure, we went out to the school district and said, hey, we're going to put a light, out in Canyon Hills in front of, it was Canyon Lake Middle School, and we approached the school district. They're like, well, what do we have to do? And we're like, well, just let us do it, sort of thing. And it was a little more complicated than that. But the point is that this is how you become good partners. If you want to go ahead and improve things like traffic congestion, which was one of the big complaints at the time. Mm-hmm. And the safety issues that were there, then that's sometimes you got to pull out of pocket to do that, and sometimes you have to partner. Jason was part of that project, right? Yeah, that was during your time. This is like one of the first things he did when he was here. So
now it's important, and I didn't know this, that the education portion of selling to a developer, I really didn't know that. That to me is intriguing because you wouldn't imagine that a developer would care about the education part. Take me through that.
Yeah, I think it depends on who you're talking to. But really, I guess we have these conversations a lot at the city with our executive team that, what takes a world-class city. And I think first and foremost is you got to have a strong partnership with your school district, because that impacts, quite a bit. And together we're stronger, and 100%. And in terms of planning and moving forward, if it's not strong, you can kind of see, but if it's really strong, developers, it should be a priority for them. They should be donating land for a school site, not having it being purchased. I think that is just a basic thing that, if we have large developments coming, in the future, we're going to probably be at the same table together, because we've been doing that with our water district as well, and it keeps the conversations moving forward and more focused with them on what this community expects, and it's helped alleviate some of the folklore that goes on, and we want to keep that in line, make sure we get the right infrastructure, meet the right needs, and the roads are where they need to be, that the cars can stage and get in and out of a campus without, totally destroying a, arterial traffic movement. So all that, I think, it's, and we try to do it in other ways too. Even our community services department this last year, we've partnered with the district to provide some after school activity at like 5 locations with 8 or 9 of our staff. And, that's some of the funding that the school has gotten, that they help reimburse us for our staff costs, but it helps keep the kids busy till about 6 o'clock, until, the time for, families to get together at dinner and, do homework, things like that. So that we've seen a huge boon, and our staff loves it. We have one of our staff who's got a pretty scientific background and basically started a STEM program, and now it's STEAM because they added arts. So you put the A in there now. But that's been very, very rewarding to watch. Just my staff, city staff, and they love doing it. But to me, it's so rewarding to see that. You can't put a price on that. So
definitely,
that
wasn't possible without a strong partnership.
And that's very true. You can't put a price on something like that, Ryan, right? Because if it wasn't for the collaboration thing, programs like this would probably cost double or triple But it's not just benefiting, the district and the city, but you see it develop, that positivity develop within the students. I mean, we're going to touch on that now. You guys have been a big supporter of our parade, a Christmas parade. Now we've seen people from the STEAM program, develop some movable floats with robots and things like that. And that's really cool because, I mean, we're making these, we're essentially having these kids think outside the box. Right. So, how positive has this been for your students?
I think it goes back to what we've been talking about the whole time here of community.
Right.
And we have 25 schools, and correct me on the number, but I believe 19 of our schools, due to schedules, 19 out of 25 were involved in the Winterfest Parade.
Yes, they were.
And when you look at it, we had, the good news is we didn't lose anybody, but we had 4-year-olds in the parade.
Yes.
We had 3.5-year-olds in the parade, and they all made it home safely, and they enjoyed the parade route. And that is, I think, goes back to that commitment of what we're trying to do, all the way to our seniors that we're building robotic floats and movable floats and using their expertise that they partner with the city. So an interesting moment of the parade. I wasn't able to make it last year because we have similar to your conference, we have our organizational meeting every year at the same weekend. So last year I wasn't able to make it. This was the first year we were able to get back. And we were going down with the board and we were about to Main Street when the board looked and said, this is why we do what we do. Mm-hmm. It was just line. I think there were 15,000 people cheering for our students and supporting our community. And it was just the epitome of what we try to do with building small town and local community. It's fun.
I have an honest question. So a few years back, we had required developers to go ahead and build schools. And then we later on didn't have to, the school district elected, we don't need a school there, and didn't build because the demographics were starting to change. People were taking longer to have kids and maybe having less kids, which is, kind of a macro thing. Mm-hmm. Is that still happening? How many more schools do you think are in our future maybe? Mm-hmm. And is that changing? Is that trajectory still kind of slowing down?
I would say yes, and we do everything based off birth rates. So the birth rates have slowed down. So that's how we do our projections of schools. We have
not at Gio's house.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So if we can keep going.
I was just going to ask you how you would answer that.
I know, right?
Maybe we should just share that story.
Yeah, we'll keep you busy for a couple more years.
Appreciate that. Thank you. We need the enrollment. So I think it's true to a point, but we do have some areas that we're going to need some development. We know Wasson Canyon is an opportunity for us in the near future, and we're very excited, which I'm sure we'll circle back to that because we're going to need some help. But even with some future development where we know in other areas of the city where we're bringing in large home developments, depending on what happens in the next 5 years, we will have future need. So working with our developers on how we do that and what that looks like and how we fund schools but most importantly, plan for them. And I think that becomes, as Jason said earlier, what do you care about a parent? How do I drop my child off? Can I get access to the school?
Right.
Is it the school that I'm looking for? And are they going to come home the same way they sent them to school? Yeah. And that's really what we try to set up is that easy flow. And the more we can plan ahead and do that really well, the better we're going to be. So we are seeing it tick back, but not nearly as a rate as it was. What we are seeing, however, is our TK enrollment for our transitional kindergarten. Mm-hmm. So remember, the state had the initiative 2 years ago to start bringing students to school earlier.
Yes.
So we are nearing that June date within 2 years where we'll have students in school a whole nother year that back in the day, they weren't in school. That has had an impact. We have to have classrooms. We have to have teachers, all things that go associated with that. So then transitional kinder, now you start looking at preschool. We have preschool programs. So students in our district, depending on need, will start somewhere around the age of 3.5, and they'll go through 18 years old. And that is something we're really proud of. We're proud of the programs we have for early childhood. And the sooner they're with us, the sooner we can help them be ready for first grade and second grade all the way through high school.
What is a need that the district has at this point? And I'm speaking relatively staffing, teachers. There's some there's some stats that say that there's less teachers now than there were a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Has that impacted the way you guys operate?
Yes, it's getting better
Okay.
on the certificated side. So when you look at the teacher side of the house, we were in a substitute shortage. It wasn't necessarily a teacher shortage for us. We're, again, remember how big we are.
Right.
As a big district, we saw small ticks, but in what we call hard to fill areas. So if you're a chemistry teacher,
Oh, gotcha.
if you are an advanced math teacher, but our elementary school teachers, what we call multiple subject, that pool has stayed pretty strong, but we had problems with substitutes and finding substitutes to cover classrooms. That is starting to get better. We have done some things. We're paying our subs more. We're recruiting very strong and reaching wider areas to get subs in, and that we're seeing some success with that. So that's helped. Where the vacancy really is in our paraeducators. We have, I think the last number was almost 200 vacancies
Wow.
for 3-hour, 6-hour positions in our district that we're looking at creative ways to find ways. So if anybody listening has any interest in working for the school district, if you can't get a hold of anybody, email me. I will make sure you get to the right person. But the classified side, especially in paraeducators, where we have some challenges. I'll give you another quick example. We had a bus driver shortage. So we had to go out and find ways that I did bonuses. We did advanced training, and we've closed that gap. So making some gains, but we have to go local.
That is, that's great news. Now we're going to close it up. We have about 5 minutes to close it up. Steve, take us through the recap. Anything that the community needs to know about.
Oh, wow. That is a very broad stroke. There's a couple of hot tickets that are happening right now. We're dealing with a lot of improvements on the lake. We're seeing some results with the nanobubbler technology that we've been working on. That is something that's near and dear to my heart this year. It's all about the lake, putting the lake back into Lake Elsinore. It's the tagline. So that is that's doing real well. We had some news reporters come out and report positively on the lake levels. That was exciting. We're continuing to watch for poppies right now, and we're getting some late rains. Doesn't look like we're going to have a super bloom. You can take that or leave that, but point is we're preparing for that just in case of worst case scenario. We're preparing also for May, which is an economic development opportunity, that ICSC that I spoke about earlier. Going through the general plan update, which we spoke about, is another hot ticket. We're also watching very closely. We just got a report back on our safety, road safety analysis, essentially, and had a presentation about that in a recent council meeting, and looked at some of the roads where a lot of the accidents are happening. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening right now.
But most importantly, I think that what the community would want to know about is your initiative. I know last show we spoke a little bit about it, but those are topics that we are going to start setting up now for a more wider conversation, if you will.
Yes.
Your initiative for this year.
My initiative for this year, which one?
All of it. Now, so I know when we started, we talked about the lake, and that was one of the first things we jumped on, and the nano bubblers. Here.
Right.
I
mean, those type of initiatives. I mean, I've been working on nano bubbler. We've been working on nano bubbler, and initiatives are initiatives, but eventually initiatives become a group effort, right? So 100%. It's not my idea; it becomes a different idea because we get professionals involved and whatnot. But I'm really excited about that, and the public doesn't really need to do much except for to sit back and watch the results and enjoy, for the most part.
And you mentioned putting the lake back in Lake Elsinore.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you, and so the community knows?
So we're implementing not just nanobubbler technology that's gotten the headlines. We're also doing an algicide and lanthanum-based application. There's another algae extraction type of system that's being funded too. So all of these are going to continue to be put into place over the years and months and whatnot. What we want is we want the lake to go ahead and be beautiful. We want people to feel safe. We want to mitigate the algae blooms that we've been seeing over a number of years, and provide just a great benefit for not only our residents, but also the people that come to visit us.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. This is great forum to talk about, these important issues. And remember, next podcast, we will be addressing the lake, the poppies, and everything in between. Stay tuned. Remember, ask the question. If you want to know about a specific topic, you can do so by emailing us at mediateam@lake-elsinore.org. Again, that's mediateam@lake-elsinore.org. On behalf of this great podcast, let's say goodbye.
Thank you, Jovanny. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Appreciate all of you guys.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.